You'll never be good enough for me. You're just a situationship, my girlfriend yelled. In front of her coworkers, I didn't argue, I just kicked them all out and watched her lose her mind while I was with someone better. Hey Reddit, I threw a party for my girlfriend's work promotion. She thanked me by calling me a situationship in front of her boss and coworkers. Get ready for this one, 'cause it gets wild. I, 29 male, was with my girlfriend Kara, 27 female, for 4 years. I met her at my buddy Jace's birthday party. She was wearing this dark green dress, laughing at something her friend said, and when our eyes met, something clicked. She had her place across town. I had mine, a 2-bedroom in the Arts District, 1,800 a month. She worked as a talent acquisition specialist for a biotech startup called Nexion. Ambitious as heck, always networking, always talking about building something bigger. I was a quality control supervisor at a food manufacturing plant. Steady hours, decent pay, not glamorous. She was climbing. I was comfortable. The imbalance was already there. I just didn't want to see it. Here's the thing, though. I'd had my suspicions for a while. The phone always angled away when she texted. The team dinners that never included the team. Showing up late smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. Taking calls in my bathroom with the water running. The usual greatest hits. She didn't argue like a person. She argued like HR. But I kept my mouth shut. Because I needed proof. Because you don't make moves without documentation. The night everything went to pieces was supposed to be a celebration. Nexion had just closed a major partnership with some European healthcare network. Big deal, lots of money. Kara wanted to throw a party at my place. Not just friends. A full event with half her office, and people whose names I'd never heard in 4 years. I spent Saturday cleaning while she was at a quick meeting that turned into 5 hours. Hit the grocery store twice because I forgot ice like a total amateur. She breezed through the door around 4, barely looking at anything I'd done. Already on her phone, smiling at something on the screen. Babe, this looks amazing. Oh, John's bringing that imported stuff he was talking about. The good bottle. John, her boss. The VP of talent acquisition who'd been mentoring her for nearly a year. The guy whose name kept showing up in conversations like an unwanted houseguest. People started showing up around 7. The apartment filled up fast. Everyone dressed nice, upscale nice, and I suddenly felt underdressed in my jeans and button-up. These were her people, her world. I handled the bar for the first hour at my own party. A few people made small talk, but nobody really cared about the answers. I was furniture, a service provider. Around 9, I was in the kitchen grabbing more ice when I heard her voice cut through the music. Honestly, I don't know why I'm still with him. I stopped. The bag of ice in my hands went still. She was standing near the balcony with 3 people from her office, glasses in hand. That casual posture people have when they're gossiping about someone who isn't there. I could see them through the doorway. I recognized 2 of them. Victor, some senior recruiter who always looked like he was smelling something bad. Another talent specialist who'd never said more than 2 words to me. The third one I didn't know. Victor said something I couldn't catch. Then louder. Come on, he seems like a decent guy. Kara laughed. Not her real laugh. The other one, the one that meant she was about to say something cruel and wanted plausible deniability. Decent doesn't get you anywhere in life, Victor. Decent doesn't open doors or get you into the rooms that matter. She took a sip from her glass, swirling it like she was at some vineyard instead of my cramped apartment. I need someone who matches my ambition, you know? Someone who's actually building something. Not someone who's peaked at checking expiration dates for a living. The ice bag split in my hands. Cubes scattered across the floor, skittering in every direction. That's when everything got real clear. The talent specialist leaned in, said something quiet, probably something about keeping her voice down. Kara shook her head like she couldn't be bothered with discretion. He's comfortable. That's his entire personality. Comfortable job, comfortable routine, comfortable dreams. I'm trying to build an empire here, and he's just furniture, background noise, someone to keep around until something better comes along. That's when she saw me. Our eyes locked across the apartment. 2 seconds, maybe 3. Time doing that weird thing where it stretches and contracts at the same time. And here's what really burned. She didn't look embarrassed. She didn't look sorry. She looked annoyed, like I was inconveniencing her by existing within earshot of her performance. Kara straightened up, and I saw it. This flash of something in her eyes. Challenge, or maybe just someone figuring out her next move. Maybe drunk. You'll never be good enough for me. You're just a situationship, she said. Loud enough that conversations around us stopped. Loud enough that the music suddenly seemed too quiet. Loud enough that I felt every person in that apartment turn to look at me, waiting to see how I'd respond. So I responded. I walked to the speaker and killed the music. Dead silence. 30-something people staring at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. But this was my apartment, my space, and I was done being furniture in my own home. Party's over, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Get out! The room froze. Someone near the kitchen set down their glass like it was suddenly made of poison. A woman I didn't recognize grabbed her purse and started inching toward the door. Kara's face went white. Nate, what are you? I said, get out. All of you. I looked at Victor, at the talent specialist, at John standing by the bar with that expensive bottle he'd brought, at every single person holding a glass I'd paid for in an apartment I paid for. This isn't a request. Victor set his glass down first and headed for the door without a word. The talent specialist followed, not making eye contact. The third person I didn't know was already grabbing their jacket. One by one, Kara's entire network filed out of my apartment like kids leaving detention, mumbling apologies, not looking at me, just trying to escape the blast radius. John hesitated, looked at Kara like he was waiting for instruction. You too, I said. Take your bottle with you. He grabbed it and left without a word. Smart man. First smart thing he'd done all night. Within 3 minutes, the apartment was empty except for Kara. She stood frozen by the balcony, still holding her glass like a prop she'd forgotten to put down. You're embarrassing yourself, she said. But her voice was shaking. No, you did that. I held the door open. We're done. 4 years, Kara. 4 years I gave you. And I'm furniture? A situationship? I stepped closer. You want someone who's building something? Go find him. But you're not doing it from my living room. She grabbed her purse with shaking hands, stopped at the door, turned back like she was going to say something that would fix this. Make me fold. Make me apologize. Give her some piece of dignity to carry out the door. I closed the door in her face. Stood there for a solid 5 minutes, just breathing. The apartment was silent. Solo cups everywhere. The smell of her perfume still hanging in the air like a ghost. My hands were steady. Finally doing something I should have done months ago. I thought dumping her would be the end of it. I was wrong. The harassment started 3 days later. Dating app verification codes I never signed up for. Texts from random dudes. Hey, beautiful, asking what I was wearing. Took me a week to figure out she'd been giving my number to men at bars. The text that locked it in. Are you still at the bar? You said you were wearing the dark green dress? The dark green dress. The one she wore the night we met. She was using our history as a weapon. Then some guy called saying, you told me you were single. Before I could even respond, he sent me a screenshot. Her, texting from a different number. Text me instead, my phone's dying, and then giving him my digits. She wasn't just handing out my number. She was running a relay to humiliate me, creating a whole system just to make my life miserable. I blocked numbers as fast as they came in. Changed my voicemail to, if you think this is Kara, you got played. Lose my number. Didn't stop them. New area codes every few days. Then came the narcissist quiz. She sent me a link about 2 weeks after the party. Some online personality assessment said she wanted closure and to understand what went wrong. Out of curiosity, I took it. Answered honestly. The next day, she forwarded my results to her group chat and started posting about them online. Your test literally said you lack empathy. She wasn't looking for closure. She was building a narrative, making me the villain so nobody would ask questions about her. Preemptive victim mode. If she could diagnose me publicly, then whatever I said about her would sound like the ravings of a narcissist trying to gaslight his way out of accountability. I saved those screenshots too. Around that same time, Bex texted me, Kara's college friend, one of the few people in her circle who'd ever treated me like a human being. Hey, I know you probably don't want to talk to anyone right now, but I think you should know something. I texted back, just tell me. The night of the party, after you kicked everyone out, she called John from the parking lot. She said, finally, now I don't have to keep pretending. John's going to be so relieved. John. I'd been suspicious for months, and I'd been right. Kara kept texting me directly too, from new numbers when I'd block her. Apologies. I still love you. The whole routine. I ignored all of it. But I grabbed my laptop and logged into a shared cloud account we'd set up early in the relationship for photos and trip planning. She'd never been good at digital security. Never changed passwords. The password was exactly what it had always been. Time to find out what else she hadn't bothered to hide. The shared folder had a section called Work Events. I'd never clicked on it before. Had no reason to. My hand hovered over the trackpad for a good 10 seconds. This was a line. Once I crossed it, there was no going back. I clicked. 68 items loaded. First photo, Miami. Kara and John at some rooftop bar. City lights behind them. His arm around her waist like he owned her. She was laughing, head tilted back, his face inches from hers. Timestamp, January, almost 11 months ago. I scrolled. Austin. The two of them at some conference party that didn't look like any conference I'd ever seen. His hand on her lower back. her leaning into him like they'd done this 1,000 times. San Diego, candid shot at dinner, glasses raised, looking at each other the way people look when they're about to devour each other whole. Denver, her in a hotel robe, taking a mirror selfie with her phone. John visible in the reflection behind her, shirtless, grinning like the cat that got the cream. The timestamp said 11:47 p.m. I kept going. Each photo felt like swallowing broken glass, but I couldn't stop. Dozens of them. Her and John at industry conferences she'd told me were boring and full of meetings. At fancy restaurants she'd expensed as candidate dinners. In hotel rooms that definitely weren't separate bookings. The most recent ones were from 2 weeks ago. Portland. A whole weekend she'd told me was a mandatory recruiting summit. Something about team building and leadership training. Photos of them in matching company hoodies, hiking some trail in the woods, clearly sharing the same hotel room. Expensive bottle on the nightstand next to her phone charger. His jacket on the chair next to her dress. I needed metadata. Right-clicked, got info. The photos were geotagged. Pulled up the Portland hotel. The nines. $320 a night for a standard room. The one in the photo looked like a suite, probably closer to 500. I downloaded every single photo. Made a new folder on my desktop called Evidence. Then I went through her documents. Found expense reports going back almost a year. Line items that made my jaw clench so hard my teeth hurt. Client dinner, $285. Candidate travel, $940. Conference materials, $725. Team building event, $1,200. Some had receipts attached. I matched them with the photos. The Miami trip where they went to that rooftop bar? According to the expense report, she'd been there for a healthcare talent summit. The receipt showed dinner for two at a steakhouse. $285. Charged to the company card. With a note about prospective candidate discussion. This wasn't just an affair. This was fraud. She'd been stealing from her company to fund romantic getaways with her boss. And John had been approving every single expense report she submitted. Almost a year of this. Hotel rooms, dinners, flights, rental cars. All of it charged to Nexion while they played house. John wasn't just cheating. He was a risk junkie who thought rules were for other people. I did the math. Based on the expense reports I could find, they'd billed the company for somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 in personal travel, maybe more. My phone buzzed. Kara again, from yet another new number. Please talk to me. I need to know you're safe. Safe? That was rich. She'd been stealing from her company, sleeping with her boss, giving my number to random men, and now she was worried about my safety. The nerve on this woman. Unreal. I almost responded. Almost sent her one of the photos just to watch her scramble. But I wasn't going to tip my hand. Not yet. I had homework to do. I opened a new browser tab and searched employment attorney near me. Not for a lawsuit. I wasn't looking to get paid. I wanted to know my options. Figure out how this game worked, how much leverage I actually had, and how to use it without getting burned. It was almost 4 a.m. I wasn't sleeping anyway. I put on my shoes and went for a run through the empty streets. 3 miles, then 4, then 5, until my legs burned and my lungs hurt and I couldn't think about anything except not dying, until her voice finally stopped playing in my head. By the time I got back, drenched in sweat and finally exhausted, I had a plan forming. She wanted someone ambitious? Someone who was building something? Fine. I was about to build her worst nightmare. I spent Sunday building my case like I was preparing for war. Monday morning, I called an employment attorney. She picked up on the second ring. My name's Nate. I just ended a 4-year relationship. My ex has been harassing me, giving my number to strange men, running a smear campaign, and I've discovered she's been committing expense fraud at her company with her boss. I have documentation. Pause. A long one. That's a lot to unpack. Can you come in today at 2? I could. I did. My attorney was in her 50s, sharp as a razor, with the kind of no-nonsense energy that said she'd dealt with this type of mess 100 times. She didn't waste time with small talk, just handed me a bottle of water and told me to start from the beginning. I showed her everything. The fraud evidence, she said when I was done. That's not my wheelhouse, but I can tell you this. If what you're describing is accurate, their company would be very interested. Expense fraud is a fireable offense. Depending on the amounts, it could be criminal. And a supervisor approving fraudulent expenses for someone he's sleeping with? That's a whole other level of liability. Could I get in trouble for accessing the cloud account? Was it a shared account? Joint access? Yes. Same password for 4 years. She never changed it. Then no. You had authorized access to a shared account. That's not hacking. She tapped her pen on the desk. What's your end game here? Revenge? Or just making sure she stops? I thought about it. I want her to face consequences for what she did. Not just to me, to the company she's been stealing from. And I want the harassment to stop. Then document everything, stay calm, and don't engage publicly. If you want to report the fraud to her employer, do it anonymously. Keep your fingerprints off it. Let them do the investigating. For the harassment, I can send a cease and desist. I left her office with a game plan and an $800 retainer, worth every penny. When I got home, she was sitting on my front steps. Kara, eyes red, makeup smudged, looking like someone who'd been crying for days. She still had a key from when we were together. I'd never asked for it back. Oversight. She hadn't let herself in, though. Just sat there on the concrete like a stray cat waiting to be let back inside. She stood up when I walked over. We need to talk. No, we don't. Nate, please. I wasn't thinking straight. I didn't mean any of it. The things I said at the party. Which part? The part where you called me furniture in front of 30 people? Or the part about John being relieved you don't have to pretend anymore? Her face changed. The mask slipped just enough for me to see something real underneath. Calculation. The gears turning. Figuring out her next angle. Who told you that? Doesn't matter. It matters to me. Someone at my company is spreading lies about your company. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo folder. Let's talk about your company. I turned the screen toward her. Miami. Her and John at some rooftop bar. His arm around her waist like he owned her. Her laughing, head tilted back, his face inches from hers. Her face went white. Actually white, like the blood just drained out of it. Where did you get that? Our cloud account. The one you uploaded 68 photos to over the past year? You never changed the password, Kara. Idiot biatch. She stared at me, then at the phone, back at me. I could see her brain working, trying to figure out how much I knew, what she could deny, what story she could spin to make this go away. Those were work trips. You're being paranoid. I swiped to the next photo. Denver. Her in a hotel robe, mirror selfie. John visible in the reflection behind her, shirtless, grinning. Work trip, huh? What were you working on exactly? She grabbed for my phone. I pulled it back. Try me. I looked up your company's employee handbook online. They have it posted on their careers page. No fraternization between supervisors and direct reports. And I'm real curious how they'd feel about John approving inflated expenses for your little romantic getaways. She looked at me like I'd grown a second head, like she genuinely couldn't process that I was capable of fighting back. You're bluffing. I pulled up the Miami expense report. Client dinner, $285, but the receipt shows dinner for two at a steakhouse. No client name, no meeting notes. That's fraud, Kara. Companies prosecute for that. She stared at me for a long moment. Then something shifted. The victim act turned into something uglier. Fine. You want to play hardball? I'll tell everyone you were controlling. That you isolated me from my friends. That I was scared to leave. Remember that quiz you took? The one that flagged you for narcissistic tendencies? I have the results. No one will believe you. My jaw set. Eyes locked on hers. I stopped blinking. The quiz you sent me after I dumped you. I pulled up the screenshots. Yeah, I have those too. Along with the messages where you bragged about diagnosing me, and the phone number relay you've been running. She went pale again. That one hit different. That was her thinking she was clever, and realizing I'd mapped the whole operation. She tried everything after that. Tears, deals, threats, playing victim. None of it landed. Finally, she doubled down. You're just furniture, Nate. You always were. I looked at her for a long moment. Give me the key. She stared at me. The key to my apartment. Give it back. Now. She dug it out of her purse with shaking hands and dropped it in my palm. We're done here. Don't come back. She left. I logged into the Netflix account. My account. The one I'd been paying for since before we met. Renamed her profile to guest. Renamed mine to owner. Changed the language on guest to Mandarin. Set a pin on owner. Then I sat back and waited. Took about 4 minutes. What did you do to Netflix? This is so petty I can't even watch anything. Nate, I swear, I replied once. Guest accounts don't get opinions. Then I blocked her number. Changed my locks the next morning. 2 days after she left my doorstep, Bex sent me a screenshot. Kara had posted on her private Instagram, the one she thought I didn't know about, a long, emotional caption about escaping a toxic relationship and finding the courage to leave, about how I'd been controlling and manipulative, how she'd been walking on eggshells for years, how she was finally free, how she'd seen the red flags but wanted to believe he could change. The comments were full of support, hearts and fire emojis. So proud of you, Queen. You deserve so much better. Your ex sounds like a nightmare. DM me if you need to talk. Women I'd met once, twice, never. All rallying around her version of events. A few people I barely knew sent me messages directly. I always knew something was off about you. Hope you're getting help. Kara told us what you did. You should be ashamed. She was rewriting history in real time, and people were eating it up. That was her gift, narrative control. She sold stories about people for a living, and now she was selling one about me. I wanted to respond to every single one, wanted to post the photos, the expense reports, the evidence, wanted to burn her to the ground publicly and let everyone see who she really was. But my attorney had said to wait, document but don't engage, let her dig her own grave. So I did the smart thing. I put my phone in a drawer and went for a 5-mile run, then another the next day, and the next. A week passed, then 2. Life got quieter, started sleeping better for the first time in a long time. Hit the gym hard, focused on work, let her spiral without me. My attorney sent a cease and desist about the abuse posts. Preserve all communications. Future false statements will be used in court. Not a lawsuit, just a letter. But it threatened her only real power, the narrative. The post started disappearing within hours. Her social media went quiet for about a week. I figured she was regrouping, planning her next move. Then she made a mistake, a big one. She posted publicly this time, all her social media, a long, emotional statement about narcissistic abuse and healing from trauma. She didn't name me directly, but she might as well have. Everyone who knew us could connect the dots. And then John, the genius VP of talent acquisition, the man responsible for hiring people who could supposedly make good decisions, commented on her public post. So proud of how far you've come. You deserve someone who supports your dreams and matches your energy. I screenshotted it immediately. The absolute idiot had just publicly confirmed their relationship while pretending it started after she left me. The timestamps on those photos told a very different story. That night, I created a new email account. Burner address, no identifying information, VPN running just to be safe. Wrote a simple, factual message to Nexion's HR department and their ethics hotline. To whom it may concern, reporting potential policy violations involving Kara, talent acquisition specialist, and John, VP of talent acquisition. Evidence indicates an approximately 11-month romantic relationship within a direct reporting line, likely violating Nexion's non-fraternization policy. There also appears to be systematic expense fraud. Multiple trips expensed as business travel appear to be personal travel, supported by attached photos, timestamps/geolocation, and related expense reports/receipts showing inconsistencies. Submitting anonymously due to fear of retaliation. Attachments, 12 metadata intact photos, 6 expense reports with mismatched receipts, timestamped screenshot of John's public comment on Kara's post. I read it over 3 times, checked the attachments, made sure there was nothing that could trace back to me. Then I hit send. The investigation moved faster than I expected. Bex kept me updated. HR pulled Kara and John into separate interviews on day 2, brought in an outside firm to audit the financials. The photos were damning enough, but once they started pulling receipts, everything unraveled. 2 days after the interview started, she showed up at my plant. Not my apartment, not the parking lot. The actual facility, at shift change, when the whole place turns into a moving wall of steel-toe boots and fluorescent light. Hundreds of guys filing in and out, trucks backing up to loading docks, forklifts beeping warnings. The worst possible place to have a private conversation, which meant she wasn't looking for private. Security stopped her at the gate. She still got close enough that everyone walking in could see her. Hoodie, hair pulled back, eyes puffy, holding her phone like it was a weapon and a lifeline at the same time. She looked smaller than I remembered. Desperate. She didn't yell my name. That would have been too honest. She just stood there and waited until she spotted me, like we were at some sad reunion and she was entitled to closure. Like I owed her a final conversation. I didn't speed up. I didn't slow down. I walked like I had a schedule. Because I did. Nate, she said, voice shaking. Please. I stopped right at the fence line, close enough to hear her over all the noise, far enough that she couldn't touch me. She hated that. You could see it in her eyes, the frustration of not being able to close the distance. I'll pay you, she said fast. Whatever you want. I'll post that I lied. I'll delete everything. I'll tell everyone the truth. Just, please stop. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I miss you. Just, stop. Her phone lit up while she was begging. Screen facing me for half a second. John calling. She swiped it away like it burned her. It buzzed again. Another call. Then a text notification. Then another. Her phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. John, probably HR, maybe both. The whole house of cards was coming down in real time, and she was standing at my gate trying to stop it with her bare hands. She looked back at me like I didn't just see the whole point. His wife doesn't know, she said. Quieter now. His kids! Nate, please, don't do this to them. I watched her phone buzz twice more while she waited for my answer. I leaned in just enough that she could hear me over the noise. You already did, I said. That's why this is happening. Then I turned and walked through the gate. Security closed it behind me. The investigation wrapped up 3 weeks after it started. The photos were damning, but the paper trail was worse. 11 months of inflated expenses, claiming higher hotel rates than they paid, expensing personal Ubers as business travel, doctored receipts with amounts changed and dates shifted. The audit found a pattern, not a mistake. $12,000, maybe more. While HR was building their case, Kara was still out there spinning her narrative. Another post about healing, another vague reference to her difficult past, more comments from people who had no idea what was actually happening. And then she really overplayed her hand. She filed a complaint against Nexion with the State Labor Board, claimed she was being targeted and retaliated against for speaking out about workplace harassment, said John had pressured her into the relationship, that she'd felt coerced because of the power imbalance, that she'd been too scared to say no. She was trying to flip the entire script, make herself the victim of the guy she'd been willingly sleeping with for almost a year, turn a consensual affair into a harassment case so she could sue the company instead of getting fired by it. But HR had the messages. Hundreds of texts between Kara and John pulled from company servers during the investigation. And they showed exactly what I'd suspected. She'd pursued him. Aggressively. Messages about how she couldn't stop thinking about him, about wanting to take things further, about being so happy after their first trip together, about how she'd never felt this way before. She'd initiated the whole thing, planned the trips, suggested the hotels, even picked the restaurants, and now she was trying to throw him under the bus to save herself. John got walked out the day the investigation concluded. His wife found out through the investigation and filed within 2 weeks. Temporary orders came quick. Loss of the house, limited custody. Everything after that was a slow grind. Turns out mentoring your subordinate in hotel rooms across the country isn't a great look in family court. Kara's labor board complaint got dismissed 3 weeks later. No evidence of coercion. Plenty of evidence that she'd been a willing, enthusiastic participant. The investigator basically said she tried to hide behind harassment laws to cover her own mess. She posted one more time, claiming she'd been set up by a vindictive ex who manufactured evidence, that the photos were taken out of context. The post got less traction than her earlier ones. People were starting to ask questions. Her story had changed too many times. Wait, didn't you say you left him? Someone asked. How did your ex get photos from your work trips? She deleted the post within an hour. 4 months passed. I heard through the grapevine that Kara had moved to a cheaper apartment on the other side of town. Small place. Nothing like the trendy neighborhood she'd been so desperate to live in. Word was she'd taken a job answering phones at some insurance agency. Not exactly the empire she'd envisioned. Not exactly the rooms that matter. John was dealing with his own implosion. Divorce finalized after months of court dates. His wife took the house, primary custody of the kids. He ended up in a one-bedroom apartment across town, paying child support and alimony while his career went up in flames. Last I heard, he was trying to rebuild in a different state, different industry entirely. Hard to get hired as a VP when terminated for ethics violations shows up in your background check. The risk junkie finally found a bet he couldn't win. As for me, I was doing better than I had in years. The apartment felt different now, lighter. Same 2-bedroom in the arts district, same balcony with the park view, but no one else's drama filling the space. No one making me feel like I wasn't enough. Just my stuff, my space, my peace. Got a promotion at work 3 months in. Better title, solid raise. My supervisor said I'd been showing real initiative lately, taking on projects, mentoring newer guys on the floor, stepping up when things got complicated. Funny how easy it is to focus when you're not constantly managing someone else's chaos. Hit the gym 5 days a week, lost 20 pounds, actually slept through the night for the first time in years. Stopped waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing, wondering what I'd done wrong this time, replaying conversations in my head, trying to figure out where I'd failed. Started dating again. Nothing serious. Met a woman named Riley through a mutual friend. She worked in graphic design, had a dry sense of humor that matched mine, and didn't make me feel like I needed to apologize for existing. We'd been on maybe 6 dates, taking it slow because I'd learned that lesson the hard way. Life was good, quiet, mine. Then, one Thursday evening, I was grabbing groceries at the store near my place, just picking up stuff for the week like a normal human being. Pushing my cart through the cereal aisle, debating between 2 kinds of granola like the biggest decision I had to make was fiber content. Normal problems, simple choices. And there she was, Kara, standing in front of the protein bars, staring at her phone like it owed her money, or maybe just scrolling through the wreckage of her reputation. She looked different, smaller somehow, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, wearing a hoodie and jeans I didn't recognize. Nothing like the polished corporate girl who'd told 30 people I wasn't good enough for her. Nothing like the woman who'd been building empires and dreaming of rooms that matter. She was now just someone buying groceries in the middle of a Thursday, trying to figure out how her life had gone so wrong. She looked up. Our eyes met. For a second, neither of us moved. Fluorescent lights humming overhead. Some kids screaming about fruit snacks 3 aisles over. Normal grocery store noise that suddenly didn't matter. Like we were just two strangers who happened to need protein bars on the same Thursday afternoon. I should have walked away. Should have just kept pushing my cart toward checkout and pretended I hadn't seen her. 4 months of peace. 4 months of moving on. 4 months of building something that was actually mine, that nobody could take from me. But she walked toward me. Of course she did. Nate. I stopped. Didn't say anything. Just waited. Gave her nothing. She crossed her arms. That familiar defensive posture I'd seen 1,000 times when she was about to say something she knew I wouldn't like. Same old Kara. Different circumstances. I heard you got promoted. News travels. I also heard you're seeing someone. I didn't respond. Wasn't any of her business anymore. She laughed. This brittle little sound that had no joy in it. You know what's funny? I spent 4 years thinking you were the problem. That you were holding me back. That I needed someone more ambitious, more connected, more everything. She shook her head. Turns out the only thing holding me back was me. That's a nice realization. Bit late, though. Her eyes flashed. That old anger I remembered. You reported me, didn't you? The anonymous tip. I kept my face neutral. You ruined my career. You submitted the receipts. Say it. Say you reported me. No. She waited like I owed her something. I pushed my cart around her like she was a display. Nate. I stopped but didn't turn around. I really did love you. In my own way. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. I walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. Could feel her standing there in the cereal aisle, watching me go. Finally getting it. Some bridges don't just burn. They get blown up on purpose. The checkout line was short. I paid for my groceries, loaded them in my car, and drove home to my quiet apartment with the park view. The same apartment I'd lived in for years. The one that finally felt like mine again. Riley texted while I was putting things away. Wanted to know if I was free Saturday. She'd found some new Thai place she wanted to try. Said she'd read the reviews, and it looked amazing. I smiled and typed back, absolutely. Pick you up at 7? The phone buzzed. Perfect. Can't wait. I built a life without her, and it's the best thing I ever made. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.